What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and welcome to a new Pokemon challenge for one. If you're new here, I have been doing previously a bootleg Pokemon drawing challenge where I've been making custom Pokemon, and this time that I thought that I would venture into the random generator territory where I usually go, and also do some hybrids. I'm not as confident in my ability to make fusions or fakemon, so give me a little bit of leeway here. To start out with, I won't do like hexafusion or anything like that. I'll just do two basic Pokemon, and we are on this random Pokemon generator, which is pretty simple, and I've set it to just do forms, any stages, any types, legendaries, any two Pokemon within the whole of the game's existence. So we're gonna go in and make some hybrid babies, essentially, I guess, is the idea that I'm going for here, really. So it could be certain amounts of each Pokemon, I think, that could contribute to the final combination. Doesn't need to be fully 50-50, because that's not usually how it works in nature anyway. Not that there are a lot of hybrid species in the wild. But at that, let's just jump right in here and get our first two Pokemon, and I will take a screenshot of them. And I think I'm going to do 3 hybrids. Again, if you're new here, it's my usual number. It just feels nice. And a boop. Oranguru and Whimsicott. Okay, not 2 Pokemon I would think to put together, but I guess here we are. So, I don't know, I'm not gonna try and guess freaking generations in this because I have no clue. These are getting into, like, Whimsicott's not that new, but I just don't remember where it comes from. I know Oranguru is from Sun and Moon, but other than that, I'm at a loss. So this should be interesting, kind of like a fluffy Oranguru. Don't they kind of share some types? Like this, these are both grass types. I think this guy has another one. I'm not totally sure. But okay. So we got our first pair, I guess. Next selection. Flabébé and Magcargo. This is the evolved version of Slugma, which we have done on the bootleg Pokemon challenge. Flabébé, I don't think that I have done. There weren't a lot of modern Pokemon in the bootlegs. Unfortunately, there were a few, actually, but not a lot. Definitely not a Flabébé, I don't think. So, new Pokemon. Okay, so we've got a grass and a fire. And our final selection, our final hybrid for the day is a boop. A Spidops and a Turtwig. You had so much potential. You had so much potential and you turned into this. I hate this guy. Okay? I've seen this guy, and like, I guess he's supposed to be like silk or something. I don't quite know. Like, I guess like a secret agent. But I think the first couple of evolutions are cute, and then the final one just punches you in the face. Like, oh, you liked your Pokemon before? Not anymore. I got so disappointed when I evolved this thing. It was not pretty. Like, come on. It probably fights well, and it doesn't look all that bad, but just compared to his previous stages, it was a big letdown. And Turtwig, who is an obvious favorite, kind of a turtle spider, sounds a little terrifying, honestly, so let's grab these two. So, again, with our selections, we have Oranguru and Whimsicott, Flabébé and Magcargo, Spidops and Turtwig. Definitely a selection of all time. Really. I think I'm just gonna leave this here, and I will throw this over to Speed Paint voiceover and show you guys what I did finally come up with for these 3 hybrids, which are a heck of a range. So we're already starting quite strong. And hopefully I'll figure out what to do with them. So I'll see you there. Starting out with the Oranguru and Whimsicott pair, I knew I still kind of wanted to go in the monkey direction, but with some of that extra fluff and babiness from the Whimsicott. Because Oranguru's sort of shawl is actually fur, I figured I would kind of bring that forward with a hooded cape look and add some curl to it from Whimsicott's cotton. Whimsicott's little ram horns also worked well to kind of imply stylized monkey ears. The resulting combo of expressions and size really made this design look like a pre-evolution to Oranguru, which makes sense to me. Oranguru kind of reminds me of Slay King, which has a full line of steps. I feel like it would even make sense to have it be like a divided evolution, but I guess that hasn't really happened between versions of the game. I ultimately decided to kind of treat these fusions like their own thing, so instead of trying to mash up the names, I tried by hand at a new one, sort of based around the design itself. Since Whimsicott both resembles cotton and ram, and Oranguru also seems to use its fur in its fans, I went for an often used type of wool, merino, which is also kind of notably curly like the cape too, and combined that with another type of ape, the bonobo. I initially had no clue if it really looked like a bonobo, but looking at it in post, it kind of does. They really resembled chimps, so it works. So the ultimate portmanteau between the two for the name became Merinobo. I think Merinobo is a psychic and fairy type. Merinobo is a friendly child of the forest, incredibly intelligent, but sometimes to a mischievous degree. Because of their long cape-like fur, they may be mistaken for human children, and they often use this knowledge to play tricks on locals. Their fur is highly prized, and some Merinobo have agreements with humans to be sheared in exchange for food or something else they find of value, like toys, jewelry, or clothing. Sheared Merinobo are often seen in spring still sporting the fur on their heads like hair, which no known Merinobo has ever agreed to have cut. It often grows too short to be of much value anyway. They regrow some of their cape-like manes within a very short period of time. Some speculate they do this with their psychic abilities. Next up, we have the Flabebe and Mag Cargo. This one was a bit more out there, so just roll with me here, okay? Flabebe is obviously a bit more humanoid, so combining that with the snail was an interesting process, to say the least. I figured from the start that I would sort of incorporate Flabebe's pigtail-like ear things as the eye stalks, then came figuring out how to incorporate basically everything else. The hardest was keeping Mag Cargo's fire influence, and I figured it wouldn't make sense to have Flabebe without the flower either. So does the snail live in the flower? Does it have a flower shell? Okay, wait. So we have Mag Cargo, which has cargo in the name, and Flabebe only really having the two arms. It's like a little snail backpacker. Something about this design spoke to it maybe being part of a line, like either the first or middle steps. Considering Flabebe is the first in its line and Mag Cargo is a final evolution, I guess a middle Evo would make sense for this design. Maybe the flower blooms later. Then came the fire typing, so this one's a bit of a reach and more based around the nature of the creatures we're working with. We have a fairy type, right? Well, one type of creature associated with fairies and fire is the Will-O-Wisp, which is also a move in Pokemon, actually, but they're like little fire sprites that guide people places. So if we made this, say, a fairy fire type or something, then it could be partly inspired by that. The little flower could be like a mobile lantern or something. I also made what was Flabebe's flower crown, little wisps of flame as well. This is Will-O-Way, a combination of Will-O-Wisp and Way, because it's like a little hiker who knows the way. Okay, it's not my best work. Will-O-Way is a tiny fire fairy Pokemon constantly on the move to find a place to deliver the fire lily on its back. Humans have accidentally followed the light of its lantern thinking it was a way out of the forest. If the Will-O-Way notices this, however, they may direct humans to a nearby town, though it's often not advised to blindly follow what you assume to be a Will-O-Way because they may trek for miles without noticing their surroundings. They seem driven by some internal compass. I do want to apologize in advance if Spidops is your favorite somehow. It's cool, I guess. But it's just not it after Tarantula. It's not like spider evolutions can't be cute. We have Joltik and Galvantula as examples here. Like, Galvantula is still more grown up looking, but it's still realized in its design, and it's still cute in my eyes. Spidops is just a guy. Like, It's shiny, kind of looks like Spider-Man. Maybe that's what they were going for, but that still doesn't make up for it being just the most disappointing evolution of all time from Tarantula. Puberty hit this guy like a freight train. Okay, rant over. Sorry. Anyway, Turtwig and Spidops. This design came pretty instantly by comparison to the others. My recent interest in fiber arts of all things kind of came about more than once in this episode. First Merino and now this inspiration. Spidops' abdomen does look a little bit like a spindle to me, which is one of the ways fibers can be spun into thread. I figured it would be cool to have our little spider turtle have a spindle-like shell with the cob, the spun fiber, making up the girth of it at the bottom, along with a kind of whorl-like structure for the base of the shell. I added Turtwig's little leaves up at the end of the spindle like it was still part of a tree. I decided to call this design Spinstle as sort of a multi-tier portmanteau. It can be part spindle, then of course spider shares a number of the letters, and turtle near the end with the TLE. Plus, I just think it's a cute name. I think something like this could have been where they went from Tarantula, like it went from being just a haphazard ball of silk to a bobbin or something. I don't know. Maybe it could just do with an intermediary evolution. Okay, no, we said we were done with the rant on, letting it go. Spinstle is a grass bug type. It makes a spool of thread that it constantly winds onto its large pointed shell to better protect itself. It's incredibly protective of its silk shell, which some claim is stronger than any man-made armor. Despite its potential, the thread is rare in human textile use because it's so hard to earn the trust of these Pokemon, and unraveling too much of the thread just leaves the Spinstle in danger. But those are my Pokemon fusions for this week. I hope that you like these. This is obviously a kind of new thing for me. I've made fake mons and fusions in the distant past, but I don't know if my designs fully encapsulate the Pokemon design language. That being said, I do at least like the designs I was able to come up with, especially with my first picks being kind of obscure and weird. Let me know what you think and which of these designs is your favorite in the comments, along with any other fun art challenges you'd like to see me do, Pokemon or otherwise. And of course, you can always subscribe to catch those and any other art stuff I do in the future. At that though, I'll leave this here, and I'll see y'all next time.